Good morning. Today's project is all about making a rug out of this cozy fabric that I found at the craft store for my living room. This is like, I found this by the faux furs and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just soft and cozy feeling. I think it'll be perfect for winter. So I bought some of this, and then I bought some polar fleece for the backing. So that will be my backing, and this will be the front of my fabric, of my rug. To start with, need a measuring tape and a pair of scissors. Okay, my first step is to cut this top fabric. I decided that I want a rug that is 7 feet long. So I measured from the end out to 7 feet. And I'm going to cut this fabric at 7 feet. Then I'm going to cut another piece of fabric that is the same length. So I'll have 2 pieces of fabric that are 7 feet long. The fabric itself is 60 inches wide. So when I sew the 2 pieces together, down the long side, I'll have a 7 foot by 120 inch or 10 feet piece of fabric. And that's the size that I'm going for. Minus seam allowances, of course, but it doesn't need to be perfect. So anyways, the first thing I did was measure out my 7 feet, and I made a little slit right here. Now, the lady at the fabric store said that the best way to cut this type of fabric without making a huge mess is to cut a slit like this and then rip the rest of it. Apparently, it's supposed to rip straight and not make a big mess when you rip it instead of cutting it. So when you cut it, I guess it makes a big mess. So I'm going to be brave and attempt to rip this fabric. I'll be right back. Okay, just got done ripping the fabric, and let me tell you, that was scary. I've never done anything like that before, but it does seem to have worked. It does want to roll a little bit, I think, but I think that's just because I just got done doing it, and I think it'll start to lay flat. But yeah, it seems to have made a relatively straight line, even though it was scary. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut another piece of fabric that is 7 inches long, or 7 feet long. So then I'll have 2 pieces of fabric, 7 inches, or 7 feet, I can't say feet today, 7 feet long. All right, so you can see here I have cut 2 pieces of fabric. They're both 7 feet long, and I've laid them together, right sides together, and then I've pinned them together all the way down the long side of the fabric. Then all I'll do is run a seam down this edge, probably an inch or 2 in, and that will attach the 2 pieces of fabric together and make one big piece of fabric. So I have gone ahead and sewed the 2 pieces of fabric together, put them right sides together, sewed down the line. I made a really wide seam allowance just because I wanted to cut off a little bit of the fabric because it's wider than I want it to for the space that I have in my living room. So normally I would have put my seam here. But for this, I put it here. So anyways, now it's time to move on to the backing fabric. I'm going to do the same thing with the backing fleece that I did with this. I'm going to cut 2 lengths of fabric, 7 feet long, sew them down the long side, and I'll be good to go. All right, now we're to the crazy part, where we pin both the layers together. I laid the fabrics together, right side together, first the fleece, then the first stuff over the top of it, and then as you can see, I've pinned it all together, making sure I pin the middle so that it doesn't shift, and then I pin along the edges so I can make sure that the sides stay together as I go around and sew. So all I'm going to do now is start in one corner, sew a seam around, all the way around the fabric, and leave an opening so that I can turn it inside out. So I've been sewing all the way around the outside edge here. Here's my big old pile. Anyway, so I'm almost to the end here. So I'm going to leave myself a good foot in which to flip the whole thing inside out. So I'm going to sew right to here. sure that I pinned my thread really well. Alright, so I'll take it off the sewing machine, lay it out on the ground, and see how square I am. Alright, so I am done sewing a seam all the way around. It looks pretty good, actually. I did have problems on the long edges over here where it didn't have the selvage edge. For some reason, it just wanted to roll and it kept getting stuck, and it was a kind of a beast. But it's done, and you know what? It looks relatively straight, so I'm just going to roll with it. Look at my legs. My pants are full of this fluff. So anyways, so this area right here, you can see I don't have a seam, and that's my pocket that I'm going to use to turn everything inside out, or right side out. So before I do that, I'm going to take my scissors and trim along the seam line. So I only have about 1/4 inch because I don't want that extra bulk inside the rug when I'm done. I want it to lay nicely. So I'm going to trim along there. Here, I'll just show you. But I want to make sure that I don't trim where my turning point is, where I'm going to turn the fabric right side out. I want to leave that there for later. So I'm going to start like maybe about right here, about 1 inch up from that pocket area, and just start trimming this like that. So I'm going to trim off this excess so I only have about 1/4 inch all the way around. And there's no need to, you'll want to give this a good little shake afterwards to get all this little fuzzy stuff off. But other than that, you don't need to finish the hem at all, because neither one of these will fray. They might lose a little more of this first fuzzy stuff, but that's alright. So anyways, trim all the way around the whole thing. So it's 1/4 inch seam allowance on the outside of your seam. Then you're going to want to flip the whole thing inside, right side out. Just put your hand in the hole, pull some fabric, and start pulling it through. Now Shelby is in my way here. She's decided she's going to play. Don't chew on my project. Yes. Shelby. What you got there? Is that a toy? Do you like my rug? Oh, what? What? Can I have your toy? Oh. Oh, okay. You're going to sit here? Okay. So anyways, now I'm just going to turn it inside out. So what I'll do is I'll reach inside, except for the dogs attacking me. Okay, Shelby, go lay down. Not on my project, though. Okay, so anyways, you stick your hand in the hole, and you pull some out, like this, and you just keep doing that until it's done. And the dog is not leaving me alone. All right, Shelby. All right, I will try to get her played with. Hello, what are you doing? Are you going to let Mama work? Or are we going to have to play right now? Do we need to play? Do we need to play? Is this your... Oh. Alright, so I guess I'm taking a play break. I'll be back. Let's try this again. So I've already pulled out some of it. So basically I stick my hand in the hole and I pull out some of the fuzzy fabric. And you just keep pulling it until you have it all inside out. So basically, you probably don't need me to show you how to do that. But anyways, I'll show you. Yeah, Shelby hasn't gone too far. Anyways, I'll show you what it looks like when I get it all inside, right side out.
You're a little stinker. You're a little stinker.
Okay, so I have my whole rug turned inside out, or right side out, I'm sorry. So I have my whole rug turned right side out, and here you can see the seam. This is what it looks like. So when it's laying on the floor, it'll look like this. So what we want to do next is find all the corners. Here's a corner here, and we want to just make sure that we pull the corners out so that they're nice, that they lay nice and flat. Like that, so. Like that. Please excuse my fingernails. I've been doing a lot of work and cleaning up and stuff, so it's lost all my fingernail polish. So anyway, so then our corners will look like that and it'll lay nicely. So we want to do that on all 4 corners, and then we'll move on to the next step. And then the final part of the project is to close up this area that we used to flip the fabric. So basically what I'll do is just fold in the fabric, make a nice little seam. I don't like their hands sew along here, but most likely what I'll do is I'll take it down to the sewing machine and just run a stitch along there, and then I'm done. So then here's what the rug will look like on the other side. It looks nice. Good morning. I have my rug all finished and have it laid out in the living room. I think it looks great. It really brightens up the room. Here's a better view of it. It turned out really nice, I think. There are 2 problem areas that's kind of bugging me. And one of which is this line that I got when I sewed the 2 pieces of fabric together. I don't know if you can see that. Just makes this line, which I hope eventually it'll kind of fluff up. Sometimes it doesn't look so bad, and then other times you can really see it, so I don't know. I'm hoping that after a while I won't notice it anymore. The other problem area I have is on the short side of the rug. It's doing this weird rolly thing so you can see the fabric underneath, just on the edges, and I can't seem to get it to lay. I mean, I keep like kind of weighing it down and it's not doing anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it back to the sewing machine, and I am going to push the fluffy stuff out of the way and then run a zigzag stitch along this edge in hopes that it will make it look like a bound rug. And I'm going to do that on both the short sides because the long sides are behaving themselves quite nicely. So yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll run a zigzag stitch along there, lay it back down on the floor, and see if it lays any nicer. And if it doesn't, I'll just roll with it because I like the way the rest of it turned out. So yeah, there is my DIY rug. I think it adds a little pizzazz to the room. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and I will talk to you all later. Bye!